At the moment, Billie Eilish is the main singer of the Buzzers. And this is proved in the form of hundreds of millions of auditions on streaming platforms. She topped the Billboard charts 200, and in the 2020 year, she was nominated for a Grammy in 6 categories. She won in 5 main nominations and took 5 statuettes at once. And so that you understand her level of genius, she became the youngest 2-time Oscar winner in history. With an interval of 2 years, she wrote 2 soundtracks for the film James Bond and Barbie and received 2 Oscars for them. And Apple TV paid $25 million for a documentary about her. And Forbes included her in the list of 30 out of 30, where she is the youngest of all the participants. But despite all the awards and popularity, Billie Eilish experienced serious psychological problems that were limited with death. Today I'm going to tell you why, with the rooftop popularity, Billie only wanted to commit suicide. And why she intentionally hurt herself, how late she made her life a nightmare, which did not allow her to cope with depression. And how she lives Tourette's syndrome. And also by the end of the video, you will understand why she is considered a genius of our time. And how genius borders on her dark side in life, which she tries not to talk about. About this and more, let's get started. Billie Eilish was born on the 18th of December, 2001, in the family of Patrick W. Connell and Maggie Burt. By the way, Eilish is not her last name, but as it turned out, this is her middle name. Billie's parents worked as actors. Mom, Maggie Burt, first appeared on the screen in the TV series Another World and back in the 80s. And Patrick Connell's father even played in an episode of the movie Iron Man. And if you have the idea that Billie is just one of the Nep baby, and her parents promoted her, then this is absolutely not so. Her parents were ordinary middle class in America. The singer's older brother Phineas is a musician and vocalist in the band. He, by the way, is the co-author of many of Billie's songs, and, concurrently, her producer. So, apparently, Billie herself did not even have the question of what to do with her. She was sure that she would follow in the footsteps of her family, that is, into a creative profession. Billie herself never went to school, her parents taught her and her brother at home, so that they would not be distracted by those subjects that they allegedly would not be useful in the future. And mostly they studied subjects related to music. Using the Beatles as an example, Mom taught them the basics of songwriting, and at home, instead of teenage tracks. She and her brother usually listened to Frank Sinatra and the Beatles, which formed their musical taste. And already at the age of 11, she wrote her first poems, which then resulted in a song. It seems that it was from this moment that her talent began to gain more and more power. So the long-awaited summer is coming to an end, and usually those who are going to take exams in the future almost always feel excitement. Rent. I won't give up. What will happen? And I myself remember the time when my hands were shaking and I was sweating at the very thought of the exam. And imagine that all this could have been avoided. And I'll tell you how. Well, first of all, it's no secret that you need to start preparing in advance. Secondly, the Sotka Online School will help you with this. If you take exams yourself or your children, the Sotka Online School will help you score points for admission to the budget, provide material for training, and you will also have a personal assistant for the entire duration of your studies. By subscription, you will prepare for all 4 subjects for 5,500 rubles, and all this in one place. You will have a personal assistant, and checking homework will take no more than 20 minutes. And you will repeat the entire program in subjects as many as 3 times. So there will simply be no options to forget something. Also, Sotka understands how difficult it is to take exams, and therefore every week you will have webinars with a psychologist. Well, to make your training more enjoyable, the first entry for the introductory lesson will be absolutely free, and the second one. Click on the link or scan the code on the screen and get an 8% discount on the first month of subscription. Using the promo code Helena. Do not miss your opportunity, because the cost increases every 2 weeks. But that's not all. In the 25th year, the online school Sotko will hold a drawing of Lamborghini among its students. And the longer you study at the Sotki, the more chances you have of winning. Well, to be in the topic, subscribe to the YouTube channel for a day and a Telegram channel. There is a lot of interesting and informative content there. All links are in the description. Well, we continue. Billie Eilish's career took off instantly when she was only 13 years old. Her brother Finals wrote a lyrical song Ocean Ice, which was intended for his band, but, after thinking about it, he gave the song to his sister, thinking that her vocals would fit better. After recording the track with Billie's vocals, she uploaded the song to the network, and the track instantly went viral. In just 2 weeks, the song received 1,000 auditions, but only received hundreds of fans. During the year, Ocean Eye collected more than 2 million auditions, earning the performer a contract with Intercore Records. And after a notable appearance and thanks to the track of Beards, she got a place in the sound of the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. I also want to remind you that she became super popular at the age of 13. In an interview with Verity in the 2019 year, and only so recalled these times. We posted a couple of tracks online, and then, in some incomprehensible way, they reached universal proportions. Reality acquired strange, surreal outlines. Since then, Phineas and I have always written together. It came out spontaneously, but the mechanism has already been debugged and is still on the go. But that was just the beginning of Billie Eilish's career. Billie's debut album, which had the same Bad Guy song after the release of this album. Billie Eilish was included in the Forbes list of 30 to 30, and she was the youngest member of this list. And in November of the same year, she was nominated for a Grammy in 6 nominations, of which she won 5. At that time she was only 18 years old. In the same year, Billie Eilish put the last nail in the award board in Billboard, dubbing the already titled Performer Woman of the Year. Eilish became the first person born, in the 21st century, whose album topped the Billboard 200. But, by the way, it was that song of Bad Guy, which partly contributed to her takeoff. That Billie called the dumbest song in the world. And already in 2021 year, well, in between successful albums, she, together with her brother, releases the soundtrack to the cult film James Bond, It's Not Time to Die, for which she subsequently receives an Oscar. Well, without thinking for a long time, 2 years later, in order to consolidate the success, in 2023 year, Eilish released a song that became the soundtrack to the movie Barbie, for which she also received an Oscar. As a result, she became the youngest 2-time Oscar winner in history. She actually proved that you don't have to wait for the turn of 40 or 50 years to write a soundtrack and get an Oscar for it. But only talent is needed, which Billie only seems to have in full. But as strange as it may sound, Billie's problems only begin here. Fame becomes a difficult ordeal for older people, let alone teenage and even young years. For example, you can take Justin Bieber, with whom Eilish herself was madly in love. He, like Billie, became popular at the age of 13, and repeatedly spoke about mental health problems associated with early fame, as well as that fame damaged his mental and personal growth, since he never knew the true meaning of responsibility, and could not develop skills that were not related to music careers. The only thing she said about her career was this: the first few years of my career, I was very depressed, and didn't even know if I wanted something from what I have. I really didn't like my success for a couple of years. And, apparently, for 13 years, Billie was only surrounded by awards, records, criticism, concerts, tours, and again numerous criticism. The peak of Billie Eilish's career came in her teenage years, when her personal life was in full swing. So, like all people of her age, she also wanted to find a loved one who would understand her. But in her case, it wasn't always a good decision, as everything resulted in dozens of meetings with a therapist, due to another unsuccessful relationship, and more than one hit about a broken heart. Her first boyfriend after great fame was rapper Brandon Adams. In the documentary Slightly Blurred, the singer described this relationship as follows: I just wasn't happy. We wanted different things. I think it was unfair to him. It's not worth staying in an alliance with a person who doesn't care about what's important to you. I can't fix it all the time, I was just unhappy. In 2022 year, Billie began a relationship with musician Jesse Rutherford, who was 10 years older than her. And all this resulted in a big scandal and criticism of their couple. But, apparently, the couple did not even pay attention to it and beat the age difference on Halloween. Then, by the way, Billie only dressed in a baby costume, and her chosen one was an old man. But already in 2023 year, they broke up, but they maintained friendly relations. At the age of 18, and in just a couple of years, Billie has only achieved everything that people have been going for decades. And, probably, it might seem that Billie only has everything for real happiness. World career, fame, money, Grammy, Oscar, but it was at this moment that she herself was only going through a severe depression. At the moment of which terrifying thoughts came. I passed the point of no return. I realized that I hadn't been happy about anything for 7 years. And even when I went to the Grammys at 17 and received 5 awards. In an interview with the New York Times, she said that she first encountered depression in early adolescence, when she tore the epiphyseal plate of the thigh. Unable to dance, Billie fell into a deep depression. I was so unhappy. I don't want to be gloomy, but I honestly didn't think I'd live to be 17. And in some cases, her depression resulted in self-harm. Self-harm. This is intentional damage to your body for internal mental reasons. These actions towards oneself are a symptom of many mental disorders. So, when they beat her again, she was worried about pain that she could not control, and, as she says, she chose controlled pain. I was just in a hole. I went through all the stages of self-harm, but, worst of all, I was sure that I deserved this pain. As she told in the documentary, her diary keeps many records of how she intentionally hurt herself. To be honest, I didn't think I would live to this age. I was about 14 or 15 years old, then my wrists were always in patches. I locked myself in the bathroom and forced myself to bleed because I thought I deserved it. And in fact, teenagers very often face such a problem. And at this moment, of course, you just need the help of a psychotherapist and a person who will always be there and always support you. As Billie Eilish told in his interviews, a few years ago she was on the verge of life and death. She recalled the incident in the Berlin hotel and how she was visited by suicidal thoughts. The fact is that shortly before that, her close friend rapper Tourette died. He was shot dead in his house. At the time of his death, he was awaiting trial in a case of domestic violence against his ex-girlfriend. When Billie publicly mourned his death, she was criticized for supporting the abuse of women. She herself spoke about this situation as follows: "My friend died, and then it was just discussed throughout the year." Also in the documentary, she admitted that after this incident, she dreamed that she committed suicide by jumping from the roof of a building. When she woke up, she was surprised that the nightmare did not scare her, but on the contrary, seemed to her even something attractive. Fortunately, Billie herself only expresses all her negative emotions in her work, which is also criticized. As for the gloominess of her lyrics, Eilish stated, "I've never felt happy, so why would I write about things I don't know about?" Billie also admitted that it was difficult for her to cope with depression, anxiety. So she repeatedly turned to a psychotherapist for help, since after the deafening fame of Billie Eilish, she acquired new fears and experiences. "I'm scared to be in my house, my address has been leaked on the internet, and fans are coming here. I even had to sleep in the living room with a bodyguard." Also, Alyosha often says in interviews that such things simply cannot be hidden and kept to oneself, with which I completely agree. Now, for teenagers suffering from depression, anxiety, there are specialists who can help, or hotlines. They can tell you what's bothering them. At the age 11, Billie Eilish was diagnosed with Tourette's syndrome. This syndrome is a chronic disorder of the central nervous system, in which vocal tics and involuntary muscle contraction occur. And the singer is always struggling with mental problems. "The internet hasn't seen my tics because I'm very good at suppressing them. But the fact is, the longer you keep these manifestations of the disease in yourself, the worse they become later. Last year, during a tour of Europe, I reached a critical point. I was afraid that I would have a nervous breakdown, I would shave my head. The most common reaction of people. They laugh, thinking I'm trying to be funny, and I'm always incredibly offended by that." Once on the Sirius radio show, the host Sidney Stern asked Billie about the lyrics of one of the songs. In the track itself, Eilish sang about being left at home alone and watching porn to distract herself from the worries of a ruined relationship. When Billie admitted that she started watching porn when she was only 11 years old. The fascination with watching adult films has led to nightmares and problems in sexual relationships. "I think it really destroyed my brain. I felt incredibly devastated because of the amount of videos I watched." She also said that as a child, she did not understand that she was watching something wrong, and thought that this is how people manifest themselves in intimate relationships. Because of this, when I myself entered into an intimate relationship, I did not say no to some things that would be better done. Also in this interview, she recalled that this is a serious problem, since it distorts the understanding of what is normal during sexual intercourse, including what concerns mutual consent. In numerous interviews, Billie only admitted that she never felt like a woman and never fit into the women's community. And all this eventually formed in her a sense of insecurity and a strong desire to change something in herself, as well as ingrained thoughts about misogyny. But after a while, I just confessed to Verity magazine, "I love them very much, they attract me, but sometimes I am so scared of them. Their beauty and their presence." Tamaza just couldn't decide on her orientation for a long time, after which she made a confession. Over the past few years, scandal and Kanye West have become, it seems, synonymous words. In 2022, there was a conflict between Kanye West and Billie Eilish. It all started with the fact that Kanye West announced that he would not perform at the Coachella Festival, until the 20-year-old singer apologized to Travis Scott. The reason is as follows. According to Kanye, Billie threw a stone at Scott when she stopped her concert in Atlanta on February 5th to help a fan. Then Billie said from the stage, I will wait until the people are all right before continuing the performance. Connie, on the other hand, considered this phrase an injection of Travis. Let me remind you that there was a stampede at Travis Scott's November concert, during which 8 people were killed, and 300 more were injured. The artist himself did not stop the concert, saying that he did not understand what was happening. Kanye West once addressed Billie Eilish like this: "No one wanted this to happen. Clubs didn't know what was going on when he was still on stage and was injured. And yes, clubs will be with me for coaching, but now I need Billie to apologize before I perform." Billie herself just didn't make any apologies, which, in my opinion, seems absolutely right, and as a result, Kanye never performed at the Coachella. Another Billie Eilish scandal broke out earlier this year, and it is connected with TikTokers. The fact is that a video appeared on the network in which the singer Billie Eilish at the ceremony of the People's Emergency Thief speaks unflatteringly about the influencers. And, as always, it's all because of one video. In the video, which has gone viral, Billie is only allegedly dissatisfied and complains to Kylie Minogue about a large number of invited bloggers. After that, as always however, the audience was divided into 2 camps. Some praised her for her outspoken comments, confirming that the so-called influencers had taken over the entertainment industry. As one of the viral tweets says, "Billie Eilish has an Oscar and a Grammy, and you have a search for live broadcasts in TikTok." Others noted that the influencers contributed to Billie's popularity, so such words said by the singer do not seem arrogant and offensive. "Billie Eilish, I am so sorry that I did not recognize your greatness and did not bow down before you. People choice invited us personally, so hate them." As a result, many TikTokers announced a boycott of Eilish, saying that they would not publish videos with her tracks. But still, to be honest, it seems to me that this will not greatly affect the scale of popularity in Billie Eilish. What is the result? At the very beginning, I said that Billie Eilish is a genius of our time, which is confirmed by the authoritative editions of the Grammy and 2 Oscars. But, in my opinion, Billie Eilish's genius lies in 100% sincerity towards his fans and his audience. She perfectly understands the feelings and emotions that the modern generation is experiencing. We help to cope with depression, including through our songs. Her sad, melancholic music is not a fashion or a trend, and she does not sing for teenagers. She herself is a reflection of the modern younger generation, with all the problems of age. Well, what do you think? Is Billie really just a genius, or is she just lucky? Write in the comments, it will be interesting to read. Well, that's it. Subscribe to the channel so that you and I will definitely not get lost and yet.